A quick reminder, the Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. President Bola Tinubu has returned to Abuja after attending the 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, where he witnessed the signing of a trade agreement between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates. Tinubu's special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, confirmed the president's return in a statement released to newsmen. The president departed Nigeria for Paris on Sunday, December 28, 2025, for the remaining portion of his annual leave. He then proceeded to Abu Dhabi for the annual summit, which ran from January 11th to 15th. The House of Representatives is considering a constitutional amendments bill to prohibit the public parade of suspects by the police and other law enforcement agencies, following decades of criticism from human rights groups, the judiciary, and civil society organizations. The proposal, adopted by the House Committee on Constitution Review, chaired by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, says to amend Section 34 of the 1999 Constitution to explicitly classify the public display of arrested persons as torture, inhuman, or degrading treatment. Lawmakers say the amendment is aimed at reinforcing the presumption of innocence, ending the humiliation and psychological harm suffered by suspects, and aligning Nigeria's legal framework with international human rights standards. Workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration will commence an indefinite strike from midnight on Monday, January 19th, following unresolved welfare and administrative grievances. The Joint Unions Action Committee says the action covers all FCTA staff, including those in the College of Education, Zuba, and senior secondary schools, citing non-remittance of pensions, unpaid arrears, selective promotions, and tenure extensions for retired officials. The FCTA management is yet to issue an official response to the strike declaration. Access to quality health care remains a major concern for many Nigerians as citizens continue to weigh their options between government-owned hospitals and private clinics. While public hospitals are designed to provide affordable care, recurring challenges are pushing many Nigerians towards private health facilities. In Abuja, residents shared their experiences with Global Television correspondent Kabir Hassan.
For many Nigerians, the decision on where to seek medical care goes beyond distance. Government hospitals are often the first choice due to affordability, but patients frequently complain of long waiting hours, inadequate medical personnel, and shortage of essential drugs.
General hospital is meant for the common man, but because of the situation in Nigeria, our leaders abandoned the general hospital, and it now gives individuals, medical doctors, the opportunity to have their own private hospital, because the general hospital are not equipped with the necessary thing that we need in that hospital.
While some residents say government hospitals remain their only option due to cost, others prefer private clinics, describing them as more responsive and efficient. However, the rising cost of private healthcare continues to limit access for low-income earners.
There are some discrepancies about about government hospital in the sense of those that are paying for full medical facility and those using NHIS facility. I discover a lot of government workers are crying up and down that whenever they go for NHIS facility, you understand that they won't give them what is expected of them.
Responses from residents reveal growing frustration with the state and public healthcare. Many say private clinics offer better services but are expensive, while government hospitals struggle with capacity and service delivery, forcing Nigerians to make difficult choices. As the debates between government hospitals and private clinics continue, Nigeria are calling for urgent reforms in the public healthcare system, improved funding, better staffing and accountability. Many believe will help restore confidence and ensure quality healthcare for all. Kabir Hassan reported for Global TV News.
Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has reaffirmed his authority as governor, pledging to maintain peace and protect lives and property across the state. Speaking at the finals of the 2026 Port Harcourt Polo tournament, Fubara said the peaceful conduct of the event showed Rivers State remains safe for residents, investors, and visitors. He acknowledged recurring political tensions in the state but assured that his administration will continue to discharge its responsibilities and support development initiatives. Troops of the Nigerian Army under Operation Wild Stroke have foiled a suspected kidnapping and robbery attempt along the Wukari-Ikaro Road in Taraba State. The Army said the suspect fled on citing troops responding to a distress call, abandoning two victims who were rescued unconscious and taken to the hospital for treatment. Security patrols have since been intensified in the area to prevent further criminal activity. Lagos State government has announced an 18-week maintenance program on the Maza-Maza Bridge along the Lagos-Badagry Expressway starting Monday, January 19th. The repairs will be carried out in phases across toll, BRT and service lanes with traffic diversions in place but no full closure of the bridge. Motorists have been advised to follow traffic signs and last-man directives throughout the maintenance period, scheduled to end in late May. Water remains the backbone of life, health, and development. Yet, for millions of Nigerians, access to clean and safe water is still a daily struggle. From homes to farms and hospitals, water determines survival, dignity, and economic progress. Sadia Yakubu reports on why water remains one of humanity's most critical needs.
Water is the foundation of life. It sustains human existence, supports development, and powers everyday activities across communities. From drinking and cooking to sanitation and hygiene, water is central to human survival. The human body relies on water for digestion, blood circulation, temperature regulation, and overall well-being. Unsafe water sources expose communities to preventable diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and diarrhea. Health experts say improved access to potable water remains one of the most effective ways to reduce disease outbreak and child mortality.
Yeah, water is very important because I don't think there is any human being, even animals, they need water. So you can't survive with water, without water.
For many families, steady access to water determines productivity, income, and food security in many rural and semi-urban communities. The burden of water collection falls heavily on women and children. They walk long distance daily in search of water, limiting time for education, work, and personal development.
So even though we don't even bother to eat, but try and possible to take water in minutes, in 24 hours, in second minutes, because it's good. It helps your system, it builds your system. So we should learn how to take water more.
Experts also want that growing population and climate change are putting increasing pressure on water resources. They emphasize the need for water conservation, improved infrastructure, and responsible use. Protecting water sources today is essential to guarantee availability for future generations.
People use water. We drink water, we bath with water, we use it and wash. Then
So water is very important.
So water is very important.
Water is more than a natural resource. It is life, health, dignity, and development. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News. Water is the foundation.
The Kano State Police Command has confirmed the killing of a 35-year-old woman, Fatima Abubakar, and her 6 children in Dorayi quarters of the Kano State Metropolis. In a statement signed by the Police Public Relations Officer, SP Abdullahi Kiawa, the command said suspected hoodlums attacked the family in the early hours of Saturday, January 17. In Kano State, the Kano State government, in a statement signed by the governor's spokesperson, Sanusi Bature, directed the police to immediately fish out the perpetrators. Dorayi is one of the areas within Kano City that has witnessed repeated cases of violence linked to suspected thugs and other criminal elements. Meanwhile, the Kano State Police Command has apprehended 3 suspected masterminds behind the brutal murder of a housewife and has 6 children in Dorayi Chiranchi quarters, Kano State. A statement issued by the command said a team of police cracked operatives successfully arrested the suspects, namely Umar Awalu, Ishaku Yakubu, and Yakubu Abdulaziz during a sting operation that lasted hours. The leader of the syndicate, Umar Awalu, a nephew to the deceased housewife, confessed to the crime and also admitted that the same syndicate has carried out a series of gruesome killings and attacks in the recent past, including the killing and burning of 2 housewives at Tudun Yola quarters, Kano. The statement added that recoveries from the suspects included 4 clothes with blood stains, the deceased 2 mobile phones, a cutlass, a club, and some amounts of money robbed at the scene, as well as dangerous weapons. The Kano State Police Command commends the efforts of the police officers involved in the operation, members of the public for their prayers, support, encouragement, and cooperation, and assures the public of its commitment to bringing perpetrators of crimes to justice. Gunmen have killed a police officer and abducted a Chinese expatriate during an attack on a company facility in the Ogomakin area of Ibadan, Oyo State. Police say the attackers stormed the premises in a commando-style operation, shooting the officer while repelling the assault. Security agencies have launched a manhunt for the assailants. You're watching the live broadcast of Meet the News. The Meet the News continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign, and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at what the weather has in store as we head into Sunday during this Harmattan season. Starting with the northern part of the country, a bit of good news here. We are expecting an improvement in horizontal visibility across most cities. However, if you are in the northwest, you may still notice slight dust haze in the air. Then across the central region, moderate dust haze will persist, with visibility reducing to about 2 to 5 kilometers, especially around parts of the Federal Capital Territory and Minna. Now, turning our attention to the south, we expect a partly cloudy skies in the morning, but keep an eye on the skies later in the day, as there are slim chances of thunderstorms developing over parts of Edo, Oyo, Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, parts of Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. We anticipate an improvement in air quality. However, conditions will remain unhealthy in the northern and north central region, while the southern region is expected to experience air quality levels that are unhealthy for the sensitive groups. For our airline operators and aviation partners, a gentle reminder to always check for the latest weather updates via the NIMET eFlight folder portal. And that's our weather outlook for now. Stay safe, stay informed, and have a great Sunday ahead. I am Akemi Samarda.
It's good to have you back on Meet the News. In business, 9 states, Bayelsa, Anambra, Ekiti, Gombe, Kogi, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kwara and Zamfara have domesticated the new tax laws aimed at ending multiple taxation and uncoordinated levies, with the remaining 27 states expected to follow. The move aligns with reforms by the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee and the Joint Revenue Board, which developed a model tax harmonization law to curb illegal collections and streamline revenue administration at the state and local government levels. Committee Chairman Taiwo Oyedele said state-level adoption is critical to tackling multiple taxation, while the JRB described the domestication as a major step towards creating a clearer and more business-friendly fiscal environment. Workers across the world are facing mounting pressure to acquire new skills as artificial intelligence and digital technology rapidly reshape job markets. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva stated this in a blog post which draws on new IMF analysis of millions of online job vacancies across advanced and emerging economies. The fund disclosed that 1 in 10 job postings in advanced economies and 1 in 20 in emerging market economies now require at least one new skill, underscoring how employability is increasingly tied to continuous learning and reskilling. And on the foreign scene, Uganda's long-serving president, Yoweri Museveni, has been declared winner of the country's presidential election amid allegations of repression, violence, and internet blackouts. The opposition says the vote was neither free nor fair, as its candidate remains at large following a reported military raid. Mukhtar Kasim reports. Meanwhile, we'll bring you that report in subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, Uganda's opposition leader Bobi Wine has rejected provisional presidential election results that show President Yoweri Museveni extending his decades-long grip on power. Wine says the process was manipulated under heavy military presence and an internet blackout. Samuel Odi tells us more.
Ugandan opposition candidate Bobi Wine has dismissed the provisional election results announced by Electoral Commission, describing them as a fraudulent and imposed through state repression. This figure placed President Yoweri Museveni far ahead, paving the way for another term that would extend his rule beyond 4 decades. The opposition says the vote took place amid widespread intimidation, and internet shutdown and restriction on its agents across several polling centers. Security deployments were intensified nationwide as authorities cited the need to maintain order following the election.
First and foremost, we reject whatever is being declared by Mr. Byabakama, because those so-called results that they're declaring are fake, and they don't in any way reflect what happened at the polling stations. And we demand that the internet be restored and the rightful declaration forms and tally sheets from the districts are uploaded on the internet so that the people of Uganda can see the rightful results in transparency. We also want to call upon the media, which has deliberately ignored what is happening in the country. There are widespread protests across the country, and these widespread arrests, and people are being killed. For example, in Butambala, at the house of Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, 10 people were shot and killed in one house by the police. We want to call upon the people of Uganda to non-violently protest and reject any effort to subvert their voice and demand that the rightful results are announced.
Bobi Wine said the result being announced do not reflect the will of the people, alleging that the process was controlled by security forces rather than voters. As the country awaits final confirmation of the results, tension remains high, with opposition figure warning that continued political suppression risks deepening public distrust in Uganda's democratic process. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
Let's take our earlier reports by Mukhtar Kasim.
There have been widespread reports that biometric machines used to verify voters' identity were malfunctioning, which some have blamed on the government's decision to shut down the internet during the election. However, Uganda President Yoweri Museveni said he faced difficulties voting due to technical problems in Thursday's elections as the country faced an internet shutdown and widespread delays.
Uganda's Electoral Commission on Saturday announced President Yoweri Museveni as the winner of the presidential election, crediting him with nearly 72% of the vote and extending his rule into a fifth decade. The commission said the result reflected the will of the people, with Museveni defeating his closest challenger, opposition figure Bobi Wine, who secured about 24%.
Yoweri Tuhaburo Kaguta Museveni, 71.65%. Now, therefore, candidate Yoweri Tuhaburo Kaguta Museveni, having obtained the highest number of votes in the election and the votes cast in his favor being more than 50% of the valid votes cast at the election, the Commission hereby declares the elected president declares candidate Yoweri Tuhaburo Kaguta Museveni the duly elected president of the Republic of Uganda at the presidential elections held on the 15th day of January 2026 for the next 5 years.
The announcement followed a tense post-election atmosphere marked by an internet shutdown, heavy security deployment, and reports of violence in parts of the country. Opposition groups allege widespread intimidation and fraud, while Bobi Wine confirmed he had gone into hiding after escaping what he described as a military raid on his home. Museveni's victory comes amidst growing scrutiny of Uganda's democratic space, with critics pointing to constitutional changes, security crackdowns, and restrictions on opposition activity as attention shifts to succession questions and post-election stability. Authorities insist the process was lawful, while opposition figures continue to contest the outcome. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
European Union leaders have warned President of the U.S., President Donald Trump, against his threat to impose tariffs on several European countries over his push to acquire Greenland, describing the move as dangerous for transatlantic relations and global trade stability. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa said tariffs could trigger a damaging downward spiral, reaffirming the EU's unity and full solidarity with Denmark and the people of Greenland, while Cyprus convened an emergency meeting of EU ambassadors in Brussels. The warning came after Trump announced plans to impose tariffs of up to 25% on selected European countries from February 1st, a move that German lawmaker Manfred Weber said could jeopardize the EU-US trade deal agreed last year unless the threats are withdrawn. And in sport, Nigeria's Super Eagles have ended their African Cup of Nations 2025 campaign on a high, defeated seven-time champions Egypt on penalties to secure third place at the tournament. After a fiercely contested encounter that ended goalless at full-time, the match went straight to penalties, where the Super Eagles showed composure and nerve, urging the Pharaohs to claim a podium finish. Goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali emerged the hero of the night, pulling off crucial saves as Nigeria converted their spot kicks with confidence to seal the win and restore pride after a difficult semi-final exit. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated the Super Eagles for winning bronze at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. He praised the team's resilience after defeating Egypt on penalties in third-place match following their semi-final loss to host Morocco. Nigeria now has finished third at AFCON 9 times, alongside 3 titles and 4 runner-up finishes. Delta State has been adjudged safe and ready to host the 15th Biennial Police Games. by POGA 2026, scheduled to take place from February 7th to February 14th, 2026 in Asaba, the state capital. This formed part of the recommendations of the Force Sports Planning Committee headed by Assistant Inspector General of Police AIG Fompan Joseph at the conclusion of a two-day strategic conference and inspection exercise held in Asaba. A statement signed and released by the Police Public Relations Officer of the Delta State Police Command, SP Bright Edafe, and made available to journalists in Warri, assured participants and members of the public that preparations for the games are progressively steadily. According to the statements, the conference and inspection exercise were aimed at fine-tuning operational plans, logistics, and coordination ahead of the commencement of the games. And that's it on Meet the News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Anieti Patrick. Thank you for watching.